Hello, everyone. It's your boy Hunt back with another kicking episode of Tabletop Recap. We got our regular co-host Big Boy Chungus here with us today, and also give a big welcome to G,
Hello.
who's visiting. So G's here.
Hello.
Yeah.
Home for the holidays.
Oh boy.
Well,
I'm excited to be here. I don't know about you guys.
yeah. But today we're actually going to talk about yet another session of Dungeons and Dragons Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus that we played. Let's all roll for initiative, even though we always just end up yielding to the DM anyway. Okay, I got a nat 1. That means I got to give out my address in the description.
I rolled a 16.
I rolled a 3.
Well, DM goes first anyways. So how about you give us first? How about we all say who the characters were in this session? D Legend's character wasn't here, but say who everybody else's character is.
So, yeah, D Legend was absent for this campaign. Since she's not here, we have Guinevere, the Tabaxi druid of the forest.
That's Keokat's character, and she has a cat named Slobberchomps, a little Tressum flying cat.
That she had basically adopted / kidnapped.
She stole.
Yeah. Technically, Slobberchops didn't care. Slobberchops is a creature of his own whims.
Which, it makes sense because she's actually stolen someone's cat in real life.
Oh. Hopefully for the better.
She didn't think when she used to live, when she used to go to college, she thought her neighbor's cat wasn't being taken care of correctly, so she would feed it on her porch, and eventually she just took it, and now it's her parents' cat.
I'm fairly certain there's a common law that says that's okay.
She just took the cat.
But, so Guinevere, the Tabaxi druid of the forest, with her new companion, not animal friend, actual companion. Now she has earned enough friendliness with it to warrant that. Slobberchops. You also have Corvus, played by Connor, the trading card goblin.
He's a
Warlock, Pact of the Raven Queen.
Is he half human? Half
Half-elf.
elf, I mean?
He is half-elf.
Ah.
And he is doing his best to please his patron. Then we have G's character. G, why don't you update us a little bit about how you're doing?
My character is Myastan Balasar, the Dragonborn Paladin of Bahamut.
And he's got the best Dragonborn name that any Dragonborn could possibly have.
Highest level in the party.
Yeah, and the longest lived.
Yeah, and the longest lived. That was your starter. He has followed you all the way.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, we are going to kill him. We know exactly how we're going to do it. Anyways, no, but we are interested to see where your very lawful, good paladin goes in hell.
And last but not least, as far as the player characters go, we have Jadal Blackline, the Tabaxi Kensei monk, played by D Legend.
Yeah, but he wasn't there for that session.
No, he wasn't. But he was here for
the one after.
Yeah, and we'll get to that one.
We're recording this one a little late.
But just for the sake of, making sure that his presence is still there, I'm going to drop his name real quick and what he is.
Yeah, we're recording this one actually after the next session because I wasn't at the other session.
That was a almost entirely electronic session.
Yeah, I wasn't physically present, and no one else had a good enough mic to do it over the, internet.
So,
and plus, my connection at home is just garbage.
Yeah.
So I can't really do the podcast from home. I have to be here with you guys. But yeah, we
and
did that, and then you got an NPC.
We have
one NPC at the beginning.
Yeah, one NPC.
The other one comes about in this. Well,
technically, we do have two. So there were a lot of NPCs that have come and gone since the beginning of this session and the end of the next session. That's why there's a little confusion. So the two NPCs that we currently have are Rhea Mantelmorn, who is a Hell Rider member from the city of Eltuel, who has just learned that her entire life is a lie.
Yeah.
The man that she was sworn to protect and worship as a all-powerful priest turns out to be a charlatan who sold her soul and everyone else's soul of Eltuel to hell, specifically Zariel. And then we have Fallister Fisk, a scholar and a spy who works for Silvara Silvakis of Kendall Keep. He is a searcher of knowledge, and he is an agent of Silvaria in searching any artifacts that have anything to do with demons. Anyways, so the session starts off. The players have all had a nice long rest, and they are getting into their mule-carried wagon to leave Baldur's Gate. They are all loaded up, and they have been provided with enough food and supplies to get them through the 5 days journey to Candlekeep. And as they're all mounted up and ready to go, the current leader, who is in from Cholt of the Flaming Fist, comes to them, and her name is Liera Portier. She is the niece of a very powerful patriarch family, who is also one of the members of the Grand Duke's Council of Four. And she's basically there to take over for Zodge, who's been pretty incompetent and distracted from doing his job of protecting the city and its refugees. But before the players leave, she asks them, she says, I know you've done a lot for us, but we're going to need your Flaming Fist badges back. You're only honorary members, and after you leave, you'll no longer be in our jurisdiction. And so all the players give up their badges, no problem, and they hit the road. Fallister Fisk asks them as they're on the road, if anyone has a valuable book. And he later, in this role-playing exchange, he tells them that we need either a rare or exotic book, because in order to enter Candlekeep, you have to pay a toll. And that toll is a book that does not exist already in their library, which sounds pretty hard to come by, but it's not as bad as you might think, because this is like Middle Ages, where all books are written by hand. So if you have a book that is very rare from a publisher who is from dozens, if not hundreds of years ago, that'll work. Or anyone's spell book that you happen to pick off a dead wizard or warlock.
Or a first edition copy of Big Chungus Takes Manhattan.
That's very popular. Good luck finding that. That would totally get them in, and maybe even have some gold thrown their way.
That's very rare. That's very sought after, right up there for Celestia Argonian made.
So, my Stan, you are the one who supplied the rare book in this case. What was that?
That was the book titled The Treasure of the Fire Lord, which I received towards the end of the Sunken Citadel campaign.
Yeah, that was the one that kind of led you in the direction of where to go next in your quest for the Axe of Tritan, right?
Yes.
So you gave up with that one, and...
well, they had an encounter before they got there.
Oh yeah, well, I'm getting to that. So Fallister asked if he could hold on to the book for that, and you agreed, so you gave that up for when the time came. Then you successfully get to a large bridge-like structure known as the Worm's Crossing. That's Worm, W-Y-R-M, like the type of dragon, not worm as in the dirt-eating mud creature. And Connor almost got his pocket picked. But other than that, they got through Worm's Crossing with no issue, and they proceeded down the long road to Candlekeep. Within the first day, they pass what seems like a friendly farmer with 2 draft horses carrying a wagon full of hay. But surprise, you thought it was farmer, but it was really me, Dio, as the farmer casts off his disguise and 4 warriors after the party. The farmer who was disguised actually is a Cambion devil, which is, unlike tieflings, who are just people born with demonic features, Cambions are actual offspring of demons and humanoids. And this Cambion is sent with a mission to steal a rather specific artifact from the party known as the Shield of the Hidden Lord. And it almost got away with it. The devil actually...
It was a long fight. It was a very difficult fight.
Yeah, it was crazy. Because one of the things that some of the monsters that the party is encountering now is not all combat is going to be a fight to the death. Sometimes enemies will have other objectives. Their goal is not to kill you or even fight with you. Their goal is to get something or kill a specific thing or get to a specific location. In this case, they wanted the Shield of the Hidden Lord. But the party successfully stopped them and killed the Cambion and his cronies. Little worse for wear, but they managed to push through. Over the course of the next 2 days of the 5-day journey, they ventured forward, but Rhea, during one of their camping sessions, asked if she could tell them a story, and she proceeded to tell them the history of the Hell Riders, how there was a demon infestation that occurred about 100 years ago, or hundreds of years ago, and then after trying to fight the demons and suffering heavy casualties, everyone in Elturel prayed for divine intervention, which was answered in the form of an angel coming to their aid, riding a golden mammoth, a golden-winged mammoth. She not only drove off the devils, but trained the soldiers and cavalrymen to fight devils proficiently, and would later become known as Zariel, which in Angel basically means champion of light or something like that. She would later then use the army that she had trained to infiltrate Hell itself and try and fight the demonic host, as it is called, and prevent further invasions, which later failed because half of the cavalrymen that she had trained abandoned her. They became too scared of being in Hell for too long, and they fled through the portal and then closed it behind them, leaving the other half of the cavalrymen in with Hell, with Zariel, and eventually they just became corrupted and fell in with the demon forces, or else they would have died. So she tells that story, and then they finally do come to Candlekeep. 5 days have passed on the road, and Candlekeep is now inside. And they are approached by 3 monks, a human, a dwarf, and an elf. Yeah, this sounds like the start of a bar joke. Which they then, of course, tell them that, welcome to Candlekeep. If you wish for admittance, you have to provide us with knowledge that is not yet possessed by us. Please present your offering. And Fallister Fisk presents the book that Myastan so graciously gave up. And they said, this is adequate, you may enter. So the party is told once they enter by Fallister, he says, I have to go give my report. You may wait in the pub for my return. I shouldn't be more than 30 or so minutes. Excuse me. So they get there, and the party has a rather unique encounter with one of the patrons at the tavern. An ogre who is sitting quietly in a booth, that's also not natural, reading a book, wearing a headband. Myastan, you want to tell us a little bit about the exchange? Corvus took the lead on it, but I believe you and the other members of the party did have some conversation with this ogre.
Yeah, so there was an ogre who had the headband was actually quite intelligent and was capable of speaking. He said that while he was in his cave eating and terrorizing adventurers, a halfling came in. And with the intent of killing the halfling, he ended up squishing him and wound up wearing the headband that the halfling was wearing. Well, the headband ended up giving him intelligence, and he became A, sad that he killed the halfling, and B, he no longer quested for anger or death and destruction, and he became a ogre of knowledge.
Get ogre it.
Yeah.
Engine.
So the ogre's name is Little One, which is a name that he gave himself in honor of the halfling that he intentionally killed the halfling when he was in his traditional ogre form, but when he became intelligent, he adopted a set of morals and he felt remorse. So he named himself to honor that little halfling that gave him the gift of knowledge. But the players had some really interesting role play, and he told them a little bit about some of the gods that people worship. They had a discussion about theology and some of the different gods, some world building stuff, and also some good role play. And then Fallister Fisk comes back. He says, okay, I'm all done with my report. We may go see Silvaria. She is waiting for us at the top of her tower. They proceed to make their way up the tower, where she is waiting for them by a window, simply peering out across the fortress of Candlekeep. Her pet Quasit, she has a pet demon that is ripping up papers and throwing jars all over the place, just acting like a little child. And she says, I've been expecting you and I have been anticipating your arrival. What can you bring to me? And she's very interested. Now, for those of you who haven't played it, Silvaria Silvakis she's not a warlock, even though she's a tiefling. She is, in fact, an archmage who specializes in magic, history, lore, and theology of the hell, the 9 hells, and the abyss. So she's like an expert on all things archdevil, demon lord, demonic, and fiendish. And so the players present their 2 findings. The first thing they show her is the puzzle box. And she tells them all about it, that Thavius Krieg was the original owner of it, that when she first met him years ago, she didn't trust him and figured him for a charlatan, but no one would believe her.
And if you open it, Pinhead gonna get you.
Yeah. But
Just kidding.
the puzzle box, she does have a way to open it fairly easily, which the players desperately needed. And upon opening it, 9 pieces of square flat iron connected by single chain links comes from the box.
It's like in movies when you see someone open their wallet and then like a huge line of photos falls out.
Except this is metallic and clinks a whole lot.
Yeah, it's like that.
Exactly. And basically she tells them, after reading it, she tells them that this is a contract between Thavius Krieg and Zariel, which describes, 1, how Eltruel was sent to hell, and 2, that when Thavius Krieg made this contract, he condemned all of the souls, soldiers, women, children, men, workers, what have you, who were in the, not just the city, but also the province of Eltruel, their souls were resigned to Zariel. Because the exact wording was that there is this giant orb of light that sits above Eltruel that was supposedly a gift from Thavius Krieg years ago after praying to a god. And it was supposed to symbolize the strength and religious virtue of Eltruel. And it said that anyone who was born under the light of the companion, which is what this orb was called, their soul would belong to Zariel after making this contract. So that includes Rhea, who is mortified to hear this news, because she also got done killing Thavius Krieg when she learned that he had been lying to her and her companions and everyone else this whole time. And now that she has learned that Zariel supposedly has claim on her soul, which means if she goes to the afterlife, she's just going to awaken in hell. The second item that they look at is the Shield of the Hidden Lord, but Silvaria does not call it the Shield of the Hidden Lord. She says, I see you brought me the Shield of Gargoth.
Didn't Maestan ask about it before she revealed what it was?
I used my divine sense on it, and I could tell that he was lying, saying that he was an angel in there. He was actually a demon.
Yeah, because I think you talked to Bahamut, and you were like, Bahamut, can you tell me about this shield? Is it good or evil? And he was like, you have detect good or evil. Yeah. Bahamut was like, I gave you that power, just use it, bro.
Yeah, I don't know how my role playing of Bahamut was varied to other guys, but I didn't want to give a lore dump because gods are not that straightforward. But also, he wasn't going to answer something you could answer yourself.
Yeah.
But I digress. And so you've heard it called the Shield of the Hidden Lord this whole time, but then here comes Silvaria who says, you brought the Shield of Gargoth. And what was your reaction to that?
I said, excuse me?
Yeah.
Excuse?
What is the Shield of Gargoth you speak? I brought you Shield of Hidden Lord. No, that's the name of the pit fiend that lives within this shield. And you're like, pit what now?
Mom, can we get Shield of the Hidden Lord? We have Shield of the Hidden Lord at home. Shield of the Hidden Lord at home. Shield of the Gygax.
Gygax. But yeah, so apparently she goes into this explanation. Again, another lore dump. And I apologize to the players of this session that we were playing was boring because there was just so much straightforward moving and exposition that had to be given. I really didn't.
Yeah, this session was mostly just a straight line full of exposition.
I'm so sorry for that, and I wish I could have come up with some way to spice it up a little bit, but I didn't have enough time, and the book doesn't give any more description.
I tried, but we'll get to that later.
Anyways, so she goes into details explaining who Gargoth is and what needs to be done about it. And Gargoth is this pit fiend that was summoned to the material realm centuries ago by a cult that he had a substantial following in. So much support even that he obtained a demigod-like status, which means he was on the same tier as, Tyr and Torm and even Bahamut. But what happened was that between the combined forces of numerous material realm kingdoms and Mount Celestial divine intervention, they managed to imprison him in a celestial steel shield. Now, even though he is imprisoned within this shield, his evilness has twisted it into this visage of a toothy, mawed, angry face. So even though the shield looks like it would belong in the pantheon of a holy group, it has the face of an evil demon emerging from it. And Gargoth proceeds to try and contact to the players. Like, he originally tries talking to Keocat, and he says, "If
Hey
you,
girl, what it do?"
yeah, hey, if you help me out, I'll reward you." And Keocat says, "Hey, the shield's talking to me." And what did you do, Maya Stan?
I ran over and I kicked the table over that was holding the shield. Like, piss off!
And so basically what the shield's trying to do is that Silvaria explains that the shield does not need to stay in the material realm. If the cult, which the Cambion Devil and the soldiers were responsible to, get their hands on it, they will release it, and it will wreak havoc on the material plane. Also, she also mentions who the leader of the current cult of Gargoth is, Patriarch Hune.
Who we set free.
Yeah, she was the old woman in the Vanthampur prison that you guys let go. Yeah, but you couldn't have known that. The only reason Silvaria knew it is because she studied Gargoth years ago, and there's like familial ties that go all the way from back then to the Hune family today. Anyways, so basically she says regardless of what we decide to do with it, we need to send it to an extraplanetar plane. In other words, send it to another dimension. What dimension this thing goes to is up to you guys. I'll let you make the final decision because it's in your care, but it just needs to be gone.
They argued about that a little too long.
Yeah, I should have hurried it up. But there's basically two options. Either they can leave the shield in Silvaria's care, where she will send it to like the ethereal plane or some other dimension that is very difficult to obtain. But the only problem with this to her is that even if she is the one to dispose of it, the Hune family and the Order of the Shield, as the cult is called, will hunt her until they eventually find her and get her to bring it back. But Gargoth offers a counteroffer and says, if you take me to hell, I can act as a guide and help you find your way around and be helpful. Because I don't have the means to make pacts with you, and I'm stuck in this shield. So you get me there, I'll just help you out. Which everyone says, bullcrap. And they say, Silvaria, you take this thing. And she says, all right, fair enough. And she puts it in a chest that... You remember in Harry Potter where there's that chest that goes down like 4 stories?
Yeah.
She tosses it in one of those. And then you can hear Gargoth in the minds of the place going, I will destroy all of you! Crazy. So Silvaria then tells them, he says, well, I guess your next stop needs to be Avernus. So I want to help you, but I can't from Candle Keep. Because in order to get there, I have to cast a plane shift spell. And because of Candlekeep's magical defenses, no plane shift spells are allowed or can be summoned within the walls of the city. She says, but I have a friend who lives away from Candlekeep that we can use, because he owes me a favor, who can plane shift for you guys. His name is Traxagor, and he has a friend of mine named Lulu in his company. I think you'll really enjoy her. So she gives them griffins to fly to Traxagor's floating tower, which I thought was kind of cool. And Keocat loved this next part, from what I heard.
Oh yeah, she's all about like the cute animals and stuff. That's why she played a druid. So they get there and they walk in, and there are 2 things in the place. Like, one is a cute little otter in people clothes, and then the other is like a small little chungus, like a little tiny flying golden elephant about the size, maybe like, what, a medium dog?
Yeah, he's about the size of a Labrador or something like that.
Yeah. Well, my labs are huge.
So the otter in people clothing is Traxagor the wizard, Silvaria's friend. And his backstory, which he explains to them, is that he was once a human himself, but he was accidentally polymorphed in an experimental accident into an otter. And he actually liked his otter form so much, he just decided to stay as an otter and just carry on as a human being in otter's body.
Yeah, now he can eat food off his belly.
And swim.
Which I do anyways, because I'm disgusting, but...
Yeah, he wears like this solid little black robe with a rope belt. And when the players first meet him, he alerts the companion Lulu, who is a golden holyphant, which is a celestial creature that looks like a woolly mammoth, very compact in size, like I said, about the size of a Labrador, with golden wings, golden fur, and is incredibly friendly. Like, Lulu is, I don't know how many centuries old. I mean, most creatures of Mount Celestia live for centuries, if they even die at all. But Lulu talks basically like an innocent child. She loves nothing more than fighting evil, and she cares very deeply for her friends. Now, when they talk to Lulu, they ask her, are you the Lulu that Silvari talked about? And she said, yeah, I am. I can help you out with all the stuff in Hell and Avernus, but there's one problem. And they're like, what? I don't remember anything. And they're like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, I remember that I was friends with Zariel once. So this is supposed to be like, aha, she's the golden mammoth from Rhea's story. But she says, I remember I was friends with Zariel, and I know I went to Hell, but I don't remember how I got there. I remember that I hid Zariel's sword before she fell to evil, but I don't remember where I hid it. I remember that
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
I remember that I made a friend there, but I don't remember who they were. I then remember that I got out of Hell, but I don't remember how. So really unhelpful bits of information. But she says, but I know that if I go there, I can definitely help you guys and maybe get back my memories. And Lulu kind of has her own agenda. Her main reason for going to Hell is she wants to save her old friend Zariel from this fate that she has been sealed to. Because despite the fact that Zariel has been the archfiend of Hell, specifically Avernus, for centuries now, Lulu believes that she's not doing it of her own free will. She thinks that either she's being manipulated by evil powers or her mind is clouded by evil magic. And she thinks that regardless of what her actions have brought her to today, Zariel has hope.
And is this about the time where Corvus made her cry?
Yes, and Corvus made some comment saying that I don't think there's any hope for her, and we're probably going to have to kill her. And just the mere mention of killing, one, Corvus is talking about a literal god here. He thinks he can kill God. Okay, that's arrogant as all get out. But secondly, Lulu does not see Zariel as a god or even an archdevil. She's seen her as an old friend who's gone astray. And this guy just wants to up and noon her, I believe is the popular saying nowadays.
Noon her?
Yeah, wants to noon her. And
Wants to go all Kratos on her.
yeah, and so Lulu just starts going, no! And then Maestan, what was it you did?
I have to comfort her. I have to comfort her and be like, look, we're gonna try as hard as we can to save your friend.
I'm fairly certain your Maestan punched Corvus.
Yeah, I punched him in the arm. I was like, hey, knock it off.
Classic.
So Traxagor is almost ready to cast the phase shift or plane shift spell to get them to Avernus, but he needs one more component. Because the way I roll these games when it comes to magic, spells of 5th level or lower require no components. Like, I don't like the idea of having to keep up with individual pieces of equipment for little quick spells, because it just takes up time and energy, and I try to keep things going as quickly as... Not quickly, but to keep the pace going so no one gets bored. But for spells of 6th level or higher, I usually will require components, because those are very powerful, and I don't want people just spamming them. And Plane Shift is one such spell. So in order for Traxagor to cast it, he needs a tuning fork, which he has, but he's lost. And so the players start helping him search, and Corvus... I don't remember who it was. Someone has a find item spell.
I did.
Explain to us how you used that.
Usually we record these like right after playing, but this time it's like a week later. So
I have a spell called Locate Object, which it's really helpful if you know what the object looks like. But if you don't know what the object looks like and have a general description of it, you can find, depending on how you roll, either its exact location or the general area. So I used it to find the general area of the tuning fork. I don't see how that was a problem.
Well, general is very vague. Like, you could say, okay, it's somewhere under the desk or the west side of the room.
Which is what you said.
Yeah, so I said, yeah, it's on the west side of the room. Keep looking. So I had everyone roll perception checks.
And you gave him advantage because of the spell.
Yeah. I think that spell is mainly supposed to be used to find objects that are long distances away. Like, okay, it's located north of our position.
I had it. We needed to find an object. I used Locate Object. I'm a simple man.
We're just glad you remembered your spells for once.
Yeah.
I don't remember my spells.
I'm just
I do
kidding.
remember
I'm
my
just
spells.
joking with you. I'm just joking.
So they successfully find it. Keocat and Corvus rolled the exact same number on their perception check. And so they put their hands on the tuning fork at the same time. And Connor just decides to be weird. He says, our hands touch as we grab the tuning fork, and I look lovingly into her eyes. And why don't you explain to us what Keocat did next? I think you tell it better.
I don't think I remember.
Basically, what she told me was she said that as his hand touches mine, my claws come out.
Oh, your little clawies. Yeah, she's tabaxi. I remember when we told her there was a cat race. She was like, I want that one. I was like, don't you want to know about any other races?
No.
I want to be the kitty.
But yeah, so she showed Corvus's character that she has no mutual feelings for him.
She was not wooed.
Yeah, she's not interested in his wooing advances. But they find the tuning fork, and Traxagor, without hesitation, transports everyone to Avernus successfully. And I gave a brief description about how horrible it was and what the initial sights were, which were apparently so horrifying that Traxagor, as an otter, rambles something in arcane under his breath, and then in like a quick second, he's gone. He just
He
vanishes.
bounced fast.
He says, I told you I would get you here, but I said I would do nothing else. Goodbye!
Yeah. Connor actually told me after this session he thought the otter and the elephant were the same entity. And I was like, you thought the otter and the elephant were the same person?
You saw them both in the same room. This isn't like Batman and Bruce Wayne. You didn't see one in...
Excuse me while I change here. Hi, guys!
But yeah, so that was our session number 7, where our players finally made it from Baldur's Gate to Avernus, and the adventure now begins.
Now it begins, and then after they get out of Eltuel, it begins.
I'm gonna recap that. The next chapter starts.
Yeah. I'm just glad they're finally in hell. But now they're in hell and they're just like still in a city, kind of. It's just like they're in the in-between almost.
Well, luckily, I will say this, and we'll talk about this in the next session. Eltuel is not at its full strength. There's only about half the city that they can explore, because the other half has either been destroyed on the way down to hell or has just completely been absorbed, basically. There's half the city, and the landmarks that are in this half of the city are few and far between. There aren't many key locations to visit, unlike Baldur's Gate, which has dozens. But there are many things happening simultaneously in the city that they can interact with, which we will discuss later.
All right. So, you guys enjoy this session?
I thought it was fun.
It was a little shorter than usual because we got a late start and then we had to pause so someone could do some work because they got called by work, and then we ended like an hour early. But I think we still got plenty done.
My biggest gripe was that it was very linear and there was lots of exposition, but that it couldn't be helped because there's a lot of information in this session that the players needed to know before going to hell.
Yeah, it was a lot like an interactive cutscene after the Cambodian fight.
Yes!
It was a lot like an interactive cutscene, like with some, like just choosing dialogue options, basically.
Yeah.
It was like we were playing the Fallout board game again. But I guess that's it. Any of you guys want to plug anything? Not that you guys have anything to plug. No?
No. That pretty much sums up everything. G, any last minute remarks?
Nah.
Okay, well, that is it for today's recap of D&D Descent into Avernus. I guess we'll see you all next time. If you want to support the show, there's a Patreon link in the description below. We also have merch. There's a link to our eBay where our merch is sold, t-shirts, etc. I also have some like gaming stuff like trading cards and miniatures and stuff up on there as well. If you want any of that, we also have a Facebook page for this, and we also have Twitter as well at B3 Productions. So that's it. Thank you all once again for your support, and I'll see you all next time.